that there are consequences and are repercussions of some of the actions that we make, right? Sometimes we make poor choices. Sometimes we invest somebody the right way. Sometimes this, that, and the other. And sometimes we got to step up and handle that. And that means stepping up to the plate and handling our responsibilities. So I know, we know, anybody that got children with somebody they ain't want to have children with, know that, damn, maybe I could have picked better. So we all acknowledge that. However, that doesn't take your victimhood away in my eyes. That doesn't mean that you deserved or somebody should go scot-free from abandoning them not standing up to their responsibilities the way you did. That don't mean for 18 years you deserve, because you picked the wrong person, to not have a father there to help raise that child. That doesn't mean that. Two things can be true at once. Sometimes
I got a third thing. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes we can play a part in the situation that we went into, but that don't mean that it excuses us or excuses our victimhood. And I don't want y'all to let anybody on the internet conflate the two. We can have a constructive conversation about how we can vet differently in the future, how we can use better discernment, how we can marry before we carry. That's a constructive conversation. Ain't nobody saying it ain't a constructive conversation. Mm-hmm. Also, though, in any circumstances, it doesn't let a man off the hook for not taking care of his kid. You are still a victim, and people should talk to you with the sensitivity of that in mind. So and that's my stance on it.
So the main victim, just like I said yesterday, that nobody seems to want to talk about, is the freaking child. So I can understand that a woman feels like the victim. She's been abandoned. That is definitely something that none of us men has ever felt. You have a great point. I've never thought about being abandoned, because if my ex-wife, when we split up, she just dropped the kids off and just disappeared, we would have been cool, but my kids would have missed a mom. I would have missed the help and the nurturing. So we kind of like play good cop, bad cop in our parenting styles. I need my good cop in order for me to be bad cop. So there's a lot of things right there that I literally never thought about. Just the abandonment side of a person that you thought was possibly going to be there, because I was married. The second thing is, there are millions of young women who have not had children yet that are watching our content, and I need them to know that single motherhood is a form of dysfunction, is something that you don't strive for, and the sentiment, overall sentiment on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube is, for men and women, that nobody cares about marriage. Well, you don't need to be having no baby then, male or female. So I need to say that also, because that's the main thing. People say, well, I'm probably not going to get married, but I still want a baby. No!
Deeper Discussion card game is meant to give you and other players deep understanding of how we all deal with relationship, when or if things get serious. One of the biggest reasons why people break up is because of underlying family issues. This game can be played with either two people or an entire group, so have fun.
Question number 1. What is the one thing you wanted but didn't receive when you were young? Name a time when money was the main factor why a relationship went bad. What is the most annoying attribute about the opposite sex?
Deeper Discussions Dating Edition. Again, these cards are good for vetting a potential boyfriend, candidate, a potential girlfriend, a potential husband, a potential wife. It'll even tell you what's wrong with your sneaky link. If you and your sneaky link need to have a conversation, these are the cards.
And you can fix yourself and figure out the why.
The texture of these cards are so soft and silky, by the way. Like
they ain't gonna get really wore out.
Durable.
You got to figure something out, because the thing about it is, it's almost a guarantee that if you sleep with somebody with no condom and ain't nobody got a vasectomy, that person is going to be your baby mama or baby daddy. And that ain't cool. So we got to put that part in there. We can't just sit here and say single mothers are the victims. The child is a victim. I just want more conversations to be had about the children of these men and women. Go ahead.
Man, my problem with this is that you didn't even take 5 seconds to acknowledge that single parent's victimhood before you deflected to talking about the child being the victim.
Because the child is the primary victim.
And then now you're just saying primary. My point is, that's what I'm talking about, Mr. Lego. You could take 20 seconds out of your 5-minute monologue to acknowledge, you're right, women are women that are abandoned, blah, 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 are victims of the situation. When you introduce this new, it's two different things. It's two different things that go together. But yo, you can sit for a second and acknowledge that, you know, when a woman is struggling to pay the bills, yo, because she got to take care of a kid by herself. She got to work 60 hours to make ends meet. She still got to make the lunches by herself. She got to school the kid by herself. She got to go when it leave work and go check on the kid if the kid is acting up in school. She got to do all these things by herself. And you gonna not acknowledge her victimhood in this situation? I do feel like you have some complicit bias too, because even in situations where you can show a little bit of empathy, you choose not to. And you choose to deflect it and say, no, let's talk about the child now. I made a message to single mothers about their victimhood, and you like, but let's transition them from that. My second point, and I'll bounce it back to you for the last point, is
Okay.
You don't think these mothers know that the child is the victim? Also, you don't think that they don't look at their child when their child is asking for, where's daddy, where's my dad, and you don't think that they know that the child is suffering? You don't think that that's the reason why they be calling their baby daddies 35 times to get them to come over? You don't think that they're more concerned about that man seeing their own kids than that man is about seeing their own kids? So when you sit here, and no offense, Aaron, I'm just gonna say it, and mansplain to women that no, your child is the victim, as if they don't see it firsthand. I'm telling you, it comes across, and this is with love. Hold on, let me say this. It's with love. It's really with love, because you my mans, and we do this all the time, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
It comes across condescending, and that you do not view women as adults and capable of making their own decisions and having basic reasoning to understand and think in abstract concepts. Like, for you to have to explain how a child in a fatherless home is a victim to women that actively see the child being victimized by that, to me, is mind-boggling.
They don't see it, in my opinion. And there's a reason why. This shit wouldn't keep happening month after month after month after month, year after year after year after year. How is it? See, the thing about it is, how is it that you don't see? Because I want you to think about this. The child isn't here yet. You're just having fun with the guy. And next thing you know, oop, I'm pregnant. The guy, y'all ain't together. And next thing you know, you have the baby. So the care for the child has to come before the child is even conceived. So you have to have care for your child before the child is even here. Because once the child is already here, part of the care for the child could potentially be already out the window. I actually thought I did show empathy to the women when I said I could never imagine my ex-wife or a baby mama just disappearing and just leaving me with my kid. I can't imagine how that feels. I just simply want to help eradicate single motherhood. I want to bring together Black families so we all are under the same roof, so these children in particular, would be raised better. Because whether it's a single father or a single mother, these children are not being raised right. Some of you weren't raised right because your single parent, whether male or female, was not enough of a parent. One parent is not enough. And that's the main thing that nobody really cares to talk about. And when it's one parent, that child suffers. So when it comes to you being a single mother, sometimes, a lot of times, you didn't see this coming. Y'all were living together. The man said y'all was going to get married. It was a lot of different things that the man said. And the second you turned around and said, I'm pregnant, it just flipped the switch. And you like, who is this freaking dude? I do see it. Make it happen less. By putting together certain structures, putting together certain operations where no man can turn around and gaslight you, where no man can come in and lie to you. Because if you have, as a woman, responsibility for your unborn child just in your head, well, you mess with this dude, you mess with this dude, whoever it is you mess with, your unborn child is in your head like, nope, we ain't taking a comment off, nope. So this won't keep happening.
You know, I know I told myself I would go talk again because I knew you was gonna say something else that was triggering to me.
Oh my
But
God.
I really,
See, you the one that's
you
triggering.
know why I'm triggered, bro? And I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I'm triggered because and I mean it in a playful way. I don't mean it in a deep way,
I
but
got you.
it's because I do not believe you really understand where I'm coming from. That
Okay.
it's oxymoronic in some of your content for you to talk about how women need a man because the man is the leader. The man is this, the man is that, the man is this, that, and other. And in this conversation about single parenthood, you divorced the how men are supposed to be leaders and men are supposed to be held accountable and men are supposed to have honor. You divorced this whole part from this
I did
conversation,
not.
and it's like it's ridiculous to me. And so it's
I did
like,
not.
what you said you didn't?
No,
No,
your
no,
job as
no.
a woman,
Oh, let me no.
your job as a woman to choose
Hold on, no,
to the best of your knowledge
Let me finish.
with the help of somebody in
Let
your
me
family, a
finish.
male in your family.
I'll let you finish along. How come
You gotta choose a leader.
when you spend 97% of your time talking to this party of the equation about the importance about how both parties should be parenting, and you talking to the party that's actually parenting, and you spend 3 or less percent talking to talking to the part that's actively leaving, then it appears you are putting more burden on this particular party, which is the
The
women.
burden always ends
Now,
on that particular party. The
women.
burden always ends
Now,
on that particular party. The
women.
burden always ends on that
Now,
particular party.
hold what you just said. Hold what you just said. What I'm simply saying is, you divorce that concept when it comes to children. If men are supposed to be leaders, if men are supposed to be the heads of not just our family, but our community, if we are supposed to be guiding and raising and making sure things are going straight in our community, but yet in the decision to lay with a woman, you divorce him of that responsibility to be a leader in that moment. You divorce him of the responsibility to take care of the responsibilities he make. You now make the woman the head of that decision. My point is, you can't have it both ways, dog. If men are leaders, which I subscribe to, qualified men are leaders, I subscribe to that.
Hold on, who said it part
I
again?
qualified. I
Thank you.
subscribe to that. But I'm going to tell you this. This is why there's a problem with a lot of women listening to the generalizations that you be making about men. Because you be talking about and you be divorcing it, right? You be saying loser choosers. When you talk about men, you put a lot of divisions in there. You put a lot of caveats. You say, well, these are trash dudes. We men, we qualify men. But when you talk about single motherhood, you clump them all the way together. When there are so many different stories, you assume that just because they laid together, that she didn't really know this man. You assumed that they weren't in a relationship prior. You assumed that maybe this man was being honest about not having a job and not having intentions. You assumed that maybe she wasn't lied to during the pregnancy. Maybe afterwards he did be involved with the child for a minute, but when she moved on to a different relationship, he had no reason to continue with that child. There's so much nuance. I guess my point in saying this, my stick to landing is, if men are going to be leaders, let's be leaders. If you're going to sit there on your platform and say men are leaders, you need to be on that platform holding those leaders accountable, because men are failing at the point of conception in being a leader, because that man could have wore a condom. That man could have not had sex. That man could have waited till marriage. That man, when the child was conceived and he found out that she was pregnant, that man could have stepped up to his responsibilities.
So you said the word. You said it. Qualified. Qualified. The number one thing that we as a community have to do is to make sure that people are qualified. And until we do that, we are going to keep failing. Just as a blanket statement, all men are not leaders. Women love to say, not all women, right? Not all men. So we have to put a certain structure in place for women so they can get a better understanding of what men are considered leaders versus the men that aren't. I'm starting to see due to the women that are just that have my back, the majority, it's like an 80-20 thing on both sides. A majority of dudes are literally trash, and women have a hard time discerning which dude is trash and which dude isn't. This is new. Now, this ain't got nothing to do with what you saying, because the women are on my back telling me this over and over and over again. And now I'm starting to see it, because I see how trash almost all of these damn dudes are.
Look.
But there is an issue, a terrible issue with our black men also.
Okay. You know what? I can live with that, man. I can live with you saying that. Now, I will say this from my perspective. You know, I agree with what you said, Aaron. I grew up with a single mother, and she did everything in her power to get me to adulthood. That is why I'm so passionate about advocating for women, because when I think of my mom, I think of the best versions of myself. It's like she gave me characteristics that I love about myself. She raised me into this man, and the parts of myself I love the most is because I see it from her. And so I have a really great experience. And although I wish that my fathers were there, or although I wish I did grow up with a dad, and yes, she could have made a better decision when it came to that. Aaron, we talked about this candidly before. My mother was addicted to crack. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I was born in 89, dog. She was 19 when she had me. And I can go back and talk to her about, hey, I wish things would have happened better. I wish you would have made better choices so I can live and had a father around and this, that, and the other. We can have an honest conversation. And we've had that conversation. And she'll tell me, you know what? You right. Well, baby, you here. We got you here. Look how you turned out. And I did the best I could. And I'm content with that. There are certain men that ain't. Just like you said, there's certain men that don't have that feeling when they look at their mother. Certain men, their mother was their biggest antagonist. So I think it's important for us to address our childhood trauma. I'm not saying you. I'm saying period, as men and women. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of ways we look at single mothers can be a reflection on the job our mother did or didn't do. Man, I'm about to turn 34. Bro, I made so many mistakes, dog. It ain't funny. And this is outside of just parenting. This is just person to person, dog. Sometimes I'll cry thinking about the hurt I caused other people. There's times in my life that I've done things that I'm so ashamed to talk about. You know what I'm saying? That I'm glad I got away with, but I'm ashamed to talk about it. I look at it and I be like, man, growing up is realizing that my parents were kids too. The same mistakes that I was making, they had me. And so, like, sometimes it's about a forgiveness you got to have and understand that your parents ain't perfect. Single mothers ain't perfect. These people ain't perfect. But I cannot put more blame on the person that tried than the person that didn't.
Tell these women, this is your turn. Mm-hmm. Tell these women to get married before having babies, because single motherhood is not the way to go. Yeah, because some of these women don't have kids.
I'm gonna tell you this, dog. And this is the part, y'all. This is the part where everybody about to call me a panderer and a simp. I know your followers about to love what I'm about to say, dog. But bro, it is my firm belief that there is just a large portion of men that, whether you do that or not, whether you know what I'm saying, it's just a large portion of men that even inside of the household don't really contribute and help. I think we can keep talking to the women. What I'm saying is, when you say take these steps, I do agree that these steps should be taken. Marry before you. I agree with you. Mm-hmm. I'm saying I don't think it's the solution, because we're still.
What is the solution?
The solution is us need to hold these other men accountable, because they only listen to other men. They only care about what we think. They look up. They don't care what a woman thinks about them. They care about the approval of their mans and their boys. And we need to make it to where if you not taking care of your kids, we don't with you. Until that happens, you're going to have I don't care, married, not, whatever. If you not checking up your kid on your kid's homework, if you don't know when the doctor appointments is, if you ain't reading to your kid, if you got on new shoes but your kid's shoes got holes in it, we ain't with you until we stop making it so comfortable for other men to do this. This is not going to change no matter what a woman does. So I get it. We can decrease likelihoods of, but ultimately, as long as they still can hang with us and have our approval and got other men yes man in them, their behaviors are not going to change. And so that's why I think it's up to us as men to stop divorcing ourselves from the sense of community, bro, because only we can hold these other men accountable. You and I both know this. They don't give a fuck about what these women think about them, but they care about what you think about them. I think about what their boys think about them. So until we make a shift, things ain't gonna change, dog. And that's the part where I'm saying, that's why people gonna call me and say, you no, but it's the truth. Until we as men hold them accountable, men gonna keep doing the same things.
So with all that being said, are you going to say that becoming a single mother isn't what it's about? It's about getting married, dating a man, and making sure that the man that you found, to the best of your ability, has talked to your daddy or has talked to your uncle, has talked to somebody, has talked to your pastor. You got to make sure through community, not just you because you like him, before you go farther with this dude, vet this man with a male influence in your life to make sure he's the right man. And then you still got to require that he marry you before he put a baby in you. Can you agree with that? Because you ain't saying nothing about that.
Aaron, yes, I think that is a great course of action. I think it's a great course of action to be married. Matter of fact, not even just to get married, but be married for a little while before you decide to bring children.
Thank you.
Modern medicine and the technology, you know what I'm saying? You know, people are having children at 40. Not saying that y'all should do it or we should do it, but I do, because that's the way I've lived my life. Aaron, you know I ain't got kids, and I'm about to be 34. I don't think that there are many men, and this is my opinion, that go in the intention of, if I have a child, I'm going to be one of these deadbeat niggas. I don't think that that's the intention. What happens is, I think we all overestimate our abilities to step up, though. So, like, if I would love to never say that I would have been a deadbeat dad, but I ain't have a kid at 20. If I had,
I did.
But
I did.
But listen,
I got married.
Hold on. Let me tell you this. No, hold on. Not that I would have willfully left my child, but what if I had a child at 20 and I was doing the stuff I shouldn't have been doing, and I ended up catching a bid, just like my dad, just like my brother's dad, just like my uncles.